How do you train people to be good negotiators?
There are three things that are important in negotiation training. Number one is to create an environment where people can do. Using case studies and the use of video, people are able to see how they behave on video. They can look at what's appropriate and they can look at what is inappropriate. What I mean by that is where they're effective and where they are ineffective. Using feedback, people are then able to change their behaviour rather than just telling people about negotiation or reading a book. So the experience is vital. Number two, it's about keeping the learning fresh, using different vehicles and different formats, whether that be e-learning, watching videos online, or recently podcasts, or whether it be through a series of different activities following on the workshop to keep it live, keep it fresh, and to stop people falling into those old habits. The third thing that's very important indeed is to look at the feedback from the negotiations themselves. And at the GAP Partnership we use a ROI system, which means return on investment. We measure the effectiveness of those negotiations for many months after the training. And this enables us to tweak and change the training and make it more customized. But it also allows the client to see the effects of that training, to measure it, and that provides them with a degree of investment for the future.
Do the same techniques work with every type of negotiation?
Yes, this is a good point. There is no one way to negotiate. There are many different ways to negotiate. The common misnomer is that people find one way of negotiating and they don't change. In fact, this concept of appropriateness, that's what we teach, says that there is no one way, there are many different ways, ranging from the very competitive, very high conflict negotiations that are generally win-lose, all the way through to the very, very cooperative negotiations which are deemed as win-win. And there's no right or wrong, or there's no good or bad, it's just what's appropriate to the circumstances that you either find yourself in as a negotiator, or better still, the circumstances that you put yourself in if you're really in charge of that negotiation and if you're really well prepared.
What makes a really good negotiator?
There are many behaviours that make a good negotiator, and when I say good negotiator, it's the word appropriate in being able to change. And so the overriding thing is to be versatile, to be adaptable, to be able to change your behaviour according to those circumstances. And the behaviours that are appropriate are everything from being able to manage conflict, be able to manage the pressure in a face-to-face negotiation, right the way through to being able to plan effectively, to be analytical, but at the other end of the spectrum, to also be open-minded and creative. In other words, to come up with ideas on how to repackage the negotiation and to have the self-discipline in being able to communicate that with the right use of language. And when I say the right use of language, effective negotiators are able to watch for when there is more scope for negotiation. What I mean by that is the ability to be able to look out and listen for what we call soft exposing giveaways. These are the small bits of language around proposals that will tell you that your counterpart, the person on the other side of the table, has more negotiation room. And these are words like, I'm looking for, roughly, in the region of, around about, I'd like, I'm hoping for, currently, right now, probably. These are words that negotiators spot to help them understand just how movable the other side is. And so language itself is very important, and the control of that language, but also the ability to listen. Because the more information you have, the more powerful you become, because information is power.